sage. Really need to get my matches here so that I can use matches instead of a lighter. Good morning. I'm Rita Hickman. I'm a body-mind expert, and I'm a shiatsu massage therapist. And what I do is I coach women who are in narcissistic and toxic relationships. And I help them find their way back from codependency, find their way back from loneliness or numbness, figure out if they want a divorce or not, figure out if they want to stay, figure out how to break the trauma bonds. And so I'm so glad you're here, because today we're talking about breaking the trauma bonds with a narcissist. So, many women have trauma bonds, and it's a trauma bond when when you think of someone and you get that sort of obsessiveness around it. You get that desire to always be, thinking about them or fixing them or replaying stories in your mind. Now, if you don't know what a narcissist is someone who is so discombobulated, so dysregulated inside of their own selves that they tend to take all of that conflict and all of that pain and they direct it usually towards one person, the person they feel safest with, which is you. Tends to be you who are in the relationship, which means that all of their angst and all of their anger and hurt and past experiences and wounds from when they were children end up being projected and loaded on to you, the person who's in a relationship with them, the person who's closest to them, the person who is safest to them, the one who's empathic and compassionate and will probably forgive them, the one who will keep coming back no matter what happens, the one who looks beyond the surface to the person who's underneath. Narcissists love codependence. They love empaths because empaths are the only ones who will put up with the drama that they create in their lives. Now, many of the problems happen not because a narcissist reacts, because we all react. We all have our own internal drama, our own internal problems. It's not because a narcissist reacts. It's about how a narcissist reacts. You as an empath or a codependent, you probably respond to stress and anger and hurt in a few different ways. You may disassociate. I spent years disassociating from my pain and my hurt. Anything would happen and I would just float away. I disconnect from what I was feeling because it was the only way that I knew how to power through. That's because when I was a kid, there were so many opportunities or so many times when I had to check out, when I was helpless, when I didn't know what to do with how I felt, and I really had to distract myself with going someplace else. The second coping tool that I used was people pleasing. And so I would tune into someone and find out what would make them happy so that they might stop hurting me. They might stop pushing my buttons. So it was very manipulative, actually. When you go in and you people please to try to get a certain result, let's say to get someone to calm down, you make them a special dinner because you don't want them to be angry. You maybe give more physically than you want to give. Maybe you push your own boundaries and it leaves you feeling wounded and trapped and helpless. That's what happens when you people please. You tend to go further than your own personal boundaries will allow. You end up giving more than you ever wanted to give. And so a third way that I used to deal with it is I would just put the blinders on and I would work harder. I would work very hard. I would, be successful. I was successful in school. I always made great grades. I was the top of my class. I was involved in choir and I was the president of thespians. And then when I got into college, it was, honor society and I lived on an honors floor and I was involved in this and, church choir and all that stuff. I just put my head down and I put my blinders on and I pushed through it. That's a third way that I dealt with it. But narcissists deal with their stress differently. They deal with their stress not by internalizing it. They deal with it by shoving it out into the world on you, the only person that they feel safe enough, or maybe your kids, the only person that they feel safe enough to express themselves, because it's a level of safety. And this is where a lot of, sexual child abuse comes about, domestic violence comes about. It's where someone who is extremely selfish, decides to deal with their feelings and their emotions by taking it out on someone else, someone who's weaker, someone who's helpless, or someone who's nice to them. That's very common. So the stories that you hear about narcissists are very dramatic. They can be over the top. When you start hearing these things about, they have a mistress and they show you pictures of them over and over, and you've been married with to them for 10 years or 20 years or 30 years, to being at holiday parties and they tell you in front of everybody that you're a bad mother, to where you're trapped in a car and you're listening to them, belittle you and bring up painful stories or mock you for things that happened when you were a kid. These sorts of things are pretty normal when you have a narcissist in your life. They're very dramatic about their pain and they don't handle it well. So how do you break this addiction? Because you know what happens when these things happen to you? You end up obsessing about them. You wake up thinking about what they've done to you and how they're not safe. You're in the shower thinking about how you can get back at them because they were so unkind to you. You're in the car thinking about how you're going to handle them getting angry again, maybe on your way home. You have to constantly do things like rub your hands or eat or shop or obsess about something else in order to try to forget that you're so hurt and angry. That's a trauma bond. When someone has that level of power over you, when someone has that level of control, then you're addicted to them, and you're addicted to their sins, and you're addicted to their bad behavior. Now, I use the word sins because I was raised Catholic, and Catholic is fun with their dramatic language. Sin actually means to miss the mark. But we get very, in our world today, we get very obsessed with the sins of other people. And when you have a narcissist in your life, you get very obsessed with the sins of a narcissist. What they did to you, when they did it to you, how they did it to you, if they're going to do it again, what are they doing right now? It's a craziness that they trigger in you, that they inspire in you, that makes you lose decades of your life. Because when you spend your entire life being controlled by someone who is out of control inside of themselves, your life gets very off track. It's time to break the trauma bond. Now, it can be fun. On one level, it's very exciting to be in a relationship with a narcissist, with someone who's so unpredictable and so irrational. They can take you on adventures, and maybe they love bomb you, and they did the most romantic things like dancing in the rain or coming up with the best birthday present or maybe listening deeply to what you have to say. That's love bombing. And a narcissist will use that in order to get information about you, in order to find out how you tick. Because if they can understand how you tick, then that makes them feel safe. They've got a handle on things. Things are okay. But the problem is it ends up leaving you wounded and broken and obsessive, with decades going by, feeling like you've got one leg and one arm tied behind your back, like you're trying to hop up Mount Everest on one leg. It's ridiculous, but that's how it feels when you're in these relationships with someone who's so dramatic and so overwhelming. Is it going to be a good day? Is it going to be a bad day? And that push-pull, that now I'm here, now I'm not. Now I'm the most loving, romantic human being on the planet. Now I'm the most terrifying monster you ever met. These are the qualities and the characteristics of being with a narcissist, because that's how they're feeling. That's how they're dealing with their insides and their own inner trauma. So how do you break this? Well, first of all, you have to recognize that they've got control over you, that they have planted in your subconscious the idea that you are not safe, that you are helpless, that you will be hurt any second, that you aren't safe in your own home, you aren't safe in your own car, you aren't safe in your own bed, that you are going to be attacked or wounded or hurt any second. It could be a good day or it could be a bad day, and you have no idea what it's going to be. That creates this chemical release, this chemical addiction to the drama, to the pain, to the suffering that'll happen. How do you break the chemical addiction? As I said, first of all, you recognize that you're doing it, that you're in this place of obsessiveness and being a little neurotic and paranoid. What's going to happen next? Are they going to show me a picture? What are they going to say? Is this going to be a rage text, or is this going to be a good text? Is this going to be, am I going to come home and things are going to be peaceful? Maybe they'll be gone. Maybe they won't join us for dinner. Maybe they'll be busy downstairs. Or is this going to be a crazy making land, and I'm going to have to figure out how to lock down and keep myself from reacting to their nastiness? Now, people might ask, well, why don't you just leave? And this is where trauma bonds come in. There's a chemical reaction in you. There's a chemical marker that keeps controlling you. You have brain triggers. You end up with stuffed emotions. And these things keep you triggered all the time, like you're walking on eggshells, like you don't know what to do next. So these triggers are a physical, chemical addiction that your body has to the things a narcissist has done, is doing, or might do. It completely obsesses your whole life. Maybe you're able to distract yourself for a little bit with work, as I said, or shopping or something else, but it's always there underlying the surface, like bubbling, like a stew on the stove. It's constantly simmering, constantly there. You can't ignore it. You can't pretend it's not happening. And you can't talk to anybody about it, because everybody will think that you're crazy, that someone could behave in the privacy of their own home in such a monstrous sort of way. And you, on the other hand, haven't left. If it's so bad, why haven't you left? What's wrong with you? There's a lot of shame, a lot of guilt around all of this stuff. How do you break it? Well, yesterday we talked about 3 tools. 3 tools which help you break the trauma bond, that help get the tension and the stress and the obsessiveness and the craziness off of your system, so that you can be the person that you used to be, the person you were before you met the narcissist, the person that wasn't scared of every sound, the person who didn't jump whenever a car backfired, a person who wasn't afraid to walk into their own house. This might have been who you were at some point in time. And then when you got into a relationship with someone who was so dysregulated, it took you on their adventure ride. It took you on their crazy making land. And that's where you're at now, feeling like you've lost complete and total control of your own internal world, of your own life, of your own feelings, of your own emotions. So once you recognize that you're addicted, and you probably are, most of us are addicted to this pain and suffering, you have to do something about it. And the thing is you have to decide that you want to feel good. You want to feel happy, that you are done with this. You no longer want to feel like you're split apart into 19 different pieces, 19 different people. You don't want to feel that way anymore. You have to decide that you're done. You have to decide there's a line in the sand, and you no longer want to feel this way. No matter how bad it is, no matter how trapped you feel, you have to hit that place. And when you do, things start to change. When you do, you start to put yourself first. You start to do things which nourish you. You start to do things which get the stress off of you. So instead of being in the shower and obsessing about what they're going to do, or if it's going to be a good day, or when they'll show you another picture, or when they'll say the thing that just punches you in the gut or emotionally slaps you in the face. When you start to do things which make you feel good, how you dress, how you spend your time, whether you go for a walk, if you hug a tree, if you're barefoot, if you enjoy a sunrise, if you make sure you drink enough water, if you have enough fiber in your diet, if you do whatever you need to do to get good sleep. When you start to put yourself before the narcissist, things begin to change. One, it makes the narcissist uncomfortable, but we don't care about that right now. What we care about is breaking the bond where they can control you. And when they stop controlling you is when you start loving and nourishing yourself, when you nourish yourself in a way that makes you feel good. Now, there are some great tips and tricks, and I talked about them yesterday. We did havening, we did TATT Points, and we did a NET little pointy thingy, which was awesome. So I'm going to remind you what those are today, and I'm going to teach you how to use them. Let's say, I'll give a scenario if you're in the shower. So you wake up, and it was a restless night. Maybe you woke up at 4 a.m., you tried to be quiet, you tried to meditate, but your mind just kept spinning about all these sins, all these things that happened. What's the day going to be like? What are you going to have to do? What are you going to have to handle and manage? It's a crazy-making thing. And let's say it's 6:30 in the morning, and you're ready to get up. And so now the anxiety and the tension is full blown because you don't know what the day is going to look like. Maybe the narcissist is already at work. Maybe they're still sleeping. Maybe they're busy doing something else. And you get, hopefully, a shower to yourself for about 10, 12 minutes. And as you're obsessing, you have to say, you know what, I don't want to deal with this anymore. And so I would use a multiple or one or multiples of these tools. The first one is havening. So let's say you're standing in the shower and you're thinking to yourself, oh my God, are they going to do this again? Are they going to yell at me again? Are they going to say something because I was home 15 minutes later than I expected because I took the long way home because I didn't want to be there? What's today going to be like? They were asleep when I got home and maybe today's going to be a bad day. Let's say you're thinking that. First thing you do, or first thing I would do, is I would haven. Haven calms your nervous system down and gives you the love and nourishment that you need. So let's do it together. Havening is when you stroke your arms 20 times, and what it does is it physically changes your nervous system from sympathetic to parasympathetic, which is exactly what you want. You want to go from freaked out to I can handle this and it's okay. Ready? Just watch and do it along with. Either way is fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then you may say to yourself, well, I feel a little bit better. I feel a little bit calmer. I'm not as rageful or angry. I don't feel as tense or controlled. But you know what? I'm really mad about having to worry that they might attack me randomly. So let's say you're really mad about that. You go, I don't want to be mad about that anymore. I have better things to think about. I have more important things to think about. So let's get that off your system, okay? When you're mad like that, it's good to do something like TATT points. So you take your thumb and you take your ring finger and you put them on the inside of your eyebrows. And the other 2 fingers rest in the middle of your forehead and your hand goes to the back of your head. And you just let yourself be mad. What this almost does is it plugs into your subconscious so that you can hear what you're really thinking. One of our problems, one of the addictions we have is that what's going on in our subconscious can't quite make it to our conscious mind. We can't quite bring it out of that low rumble, that low simmer that's in the background. We can't quite move it forward and get it out of our system. It's like a nagging something that bothers us. And so TAT points help you take those random, rumbly, simmering thoughts and hear them so that you can finally get them off your system and calm down. So I might do something like this. I do the TAT points and I might think to myself, oh, I'm so mad. I'm so worried that what they're going to do today is going to make, I'm going to go crazy. I know I'm going to go crazy. I don't know if I can handle it. And I have so much I have to get done, and they're just going to throw fire bombs at me all day. I know it. There's going to be texts. Should I ignore them? Should I go no contact? You know, which ones can I ignore? Because I'm sick and tired of being so scared and angry about all this stuff. What's going to happen today? What's going to happen today? Well, maybe today will be okay. Maybe today will turn out all right. Maybe they won't be in a bad mood. Maybe I'm going to be a stronger person than I was before. Maybe I don't have to answer everything. Maybe I'll take a walk today. You know what? I think I want to take a walk today because that always makes me feel level. That always makes me feel calm. So what happens when you hold these TAT points is because you're finally able to hear yourself. You're finally able to hear yourself think, and it gets it off your system. Just like having a good conversation with a friend, when you do the TAT points, you're having a good conversation with yourself. It literally physically calms you down. You go from being angry and rageful to dialing it down so that you're not so obsessed, you're not so overwhelmed by it. It dials it down and gives you some control. Doesn't make you feel so trauma bonded. So the third thing that I do, let's say I'm in the shower and I'm still thinking, you know what, but I'm still angry and hurt and upset. I'm worried that there's going to be these texts today, that they're going to say nasty things, that it's going to accuse me of something that I don't even know what to expect. It was the thermostat before, but I did that right. It was dinner the day before that. It was because I said the wrong word. I said you instead of they. What's going to happen? I don't want them to send me rage texts. So then what I would do is I would do a little tricksy little thing that breaks the visual trauma. So I would put in front of me, in my mind's eye, about a foot in front of me, let's say my phone with their name popping up without even knowing what the text is. But what happens is that gives you a trigger. When I was a kid, my triggers were my dad pulling into the driveway. Whenever I heard cars pull into a driveway, my heart would start to race. Maybe that's where you're at now. Maybe those are the things that you deal with. Another thing is if I heard footsteps on the floor above me. If I was downstairs and I heard footsteps and they were my dad's footsteps, they were heavy, they were measured, my heart would start, is he going to come downstairs? Is he going to bother me? What's going to happen? And having someone's name like that, your adversary, your narcissist, your husbands, your boyfriends, your kids, name pop up like that, your mother's, your father's, on your phone is a trigger. It's a big trigger. And so let's say you put that vision of the phone about a foot in front of you in your mind's eye and you point at it. Now you're going to take this picture and we're going to turn around 3.5 times and it's going to follow with you. And this physically, visually starts breaking the trauma bond. So I could still be in the shower. I could still be naked and showering and I'm doing all of these tools and they're, off doing something. You can do this in 10 minutes or less. It's great. In 5 minutes or less. So here it is in front of me, the picture of a phone with the text and their name, and I point at it. And I point at it and I turn to the left 3.5 times. Carry it with me. And you pay attention to see if the picture changes. It's like right about here. I'm carrying it with me. 1. And you can do this too. You can do this with me right now or you can practice it tomorrow morning. 2. 3.5. What typically happens is something changes, something shifts. Oh, I got blurry. How did that happen? Sorry about that. Let's see if we can get it back into focus. All right, I think that's a little bit better. So you can do this in the shower. And if you do this, it starts to break that bond. It starts to break that the next time the text comes up, the next time their name comes up, it's not so crazy making. It's not so, it doesn't make you feel so stressed out. It doesn't make you feel so overwhelmed. You can do this with any picture, a picture of their face, a picture of their angry face, a picture of something you have to get done, taxes, something like that, paperwork, something you're dreading. Do it. Put it in front of you, point at it, turn around to the left 3.5 times, and see if the picture changes. See if the trauma bond has changed at all. See if it's faded around the edges. You may cry. You may shake a little bit. You may notice your nervous system relaxing. You may notice all of those things. There'll be a physical side effect. And if you do that, if you do this every day, let's say you go into the shower every day and you do havening, TATT points, and the pointy thingy, if you do that every day, I want you to wait and see if things start to change for you. People's skin conditions start to clear up. People's nervous habits start to clear up. They stop wringing their hands. They stop scratching themselves. They stop doing even more, harmful things like cutting. They stop overeating or being as obsessed to carbs. If you do these things, even just every morning in the shower, I want you to practice and see if they work. Now, the hardest time that women have is that they feel like an idiot. They do these things and they feel like an idiot because they already feel like an idiot. Why am I in a relationship with someone who's so someone who's so dysfunctional? But try it. These are the newest body-mind tools that will help you start to reverse your trauma, help you start to break the trauma bond, help you stop obsessing and being crazy-making around someone else's bad behavior. And when you stop wasting your energy being obsessed with someone else's crazy-making, you start to take that energy and put it towards the things that matter to you. Put it towards the things that you love and towards the things that are most important to you. You stop wasting them. You stop, wasting your seed on the ground with someone who doesn't appreciate it. You stop putting your pearls before swine, and you start collecting them and using them in a powerful way that can really make your life better. So that's my challenge for you. My challenge is to use these 3 tools in the shower every single morning. Nobody can see you. Nobody cares. Nobody's listening to you. Nobody's judging you. Do them and see if you start to clean some of these things up and stop feeling so overwhelmed and obsessive about the bad things that a narcissist has done, is doing, and will probably do in the future. Take back your power. So if you're confused or lost or want some support, inspiremassage.com, soon to be RitaHickmanCoaching.com, and I'll be able to give you a hand. I'll be able to show you with a couple calls how you can do these yourself. And then if you want, we can coach further, and I can support you through your journey of breaking out of the hell that you're in by being in a narcissistic, toxic relationship. You can break out of it, absolutely, positively. And we can help you, and I can help you get your mind and your heart and your gut back, okay? So I hope you have a great rest of your day. Sorry if this was blurry at the end. My camera didn't seem to want to keep me in focus. And I think that's it. I wanted to tell you something else. Sunday, I'm going to be doing a healing session, Sunday night, 8 p.m. Central Standard Time. Keep an eye out for it and for an event listing for it. We're going to come together. I'm going to do a healing thing that I do for myself. I do regular energy healing sessions on myself that include music and meditation and these body-mind points. And I'm going to finally share, open up the door, pull back the secret curtain, be the Wizard of Oz, and show you how I heal myself. Not just with these tools, but with the whole taking the time and giving yourself time to regulate your system and start to get back into balance. Because when you do, your whole life changes. So I'll be pulling back the curtain on Sundays so that you can join me for an hour-long healing session where you can start to take your life back. Okay? So I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.